Hey, before this new year even begins, I need you to really hear me. Don't just listen, hear me. 2026 ain't about resolutions, it's about revolutions. And the first battle you gotta win ain't with the world, it's with that weak version of you. See, every year we talk about new goals, new money, new mindset, but we forget you can't pour power into a vessel that's still cracked. You can't build an empire with old habits holding the hammer. So before you chase what's next, you gotta kill what's been holding you back. That lazy you, that scared you, that doubting you, that people pleasing you, the version of yourself that makes excuses, hides from pain, and calls fear being realistic. 2026 is only gonna reward the version of you that's ready to die to your old ways. You gotta bury the weak ones so the warrior can rise. Let's talk about how you do that. Stop negotiating with your excuses. That's the first rule if you're serious about killing that weak version of yourself. You gotta stop having conversations with that little voice in your head that's always trying to talk you out of greatness. You know the one. It whispers, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it when I'm ready. That voice is a liar. That voice is your enemy wearing comfort like a disguise. It makes you feel safe while it steals your potential. It tells you rest is self-care when really it's self-sabotage. And the longer you keep listening to it, the longer you stay stuck in the same place, watching other people live the life you keep saying you want. Every person you admire, the ones you call great, successful, unstoppable, they had to silence that same voice. They didn't get handed discipline, they developed it. They trained their mind to move even when it didn't feel right. Kobe didn't wake up at 4 a.m. because it was comfortable. Nipsey didn't keep building the marathon brand because it was easy or everybody believed in him. They did it because they stopped negotiating with their excuses. They stopped giving their feelings more power than their purpose. That's the difference. Weak you talks in feelings. Strong you moves in commitments. Weak you says, I'll try. Strong you says, I will. Weak you looks for motivation. Strong you moves on responsibility. The truth is life don't care about your reasons. The universe only responds to action. Every time you hit snooze, you're telling the world your dreams can wait. Every time you skip the gym, the business call, the study session, you're choosing temporary peace over long-term power. You can't have both. One will always cancel out the other. And if you keep choosing peace that comes from avoiding pressure, don't cry later when you don't see progress. You get what you're willing to struggle for. It's funny. We'll sit through pain for everything else. We'll stay in toxic relationships. We'll work jobs we hate. We'll let people disrespect us, all to avoid change. But the moment it's time to push for our purpose, we call it too hard. See, that's the lie the weak version of you keeps telling, that comfort is safety. But comfort is a cage. You might not see the bars, but you'll feel them when you try to move. When I was coming up, I had every reason to stop. The streets, the losses, the pressure, everything was telling me to chill, to slow down, to accept what life gave me. But I had to make a decision. Either I was going to keep making peace with my excuses, or I was going to start a war with them. I chose the war. I told myself, you don't get to talk yourself out of your own destiny. Because once you start negotiating with weakness, you start losing battles you didn't even need to fight. Look, the game ain't about talent. It's about consistency. There's a lot of talented people still sitting on the bench because they never learned how to play hurt. You gotta stop waiting for perfect conditions to move. You don't need more time, you need more commitment. You don't need motivation, you need movement. You don't need to believe in yourself first. You need to start, and belief will meet you along the way. Every time you think, I'll start tomorrow, remember, somebody else started today. While you're resting in comfort, they're building momentum. While you're thinking about it, they're working on it. And a year from now, they'll be living the results while you're still explaining your reasons. Stop telling people what you're about to do. Stop announcing your potential like it's progress. You ain't got to talk about it. Show it. Let your work be your voice. Let your results be your response, because the world don't respect intention. It respects execution. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's hard. It's supposed to be. Discipline ain't punishment. It's protection. It protects your vision from the version of you that would rather waste time. It builds the kind of strength that can't be faked, the kind that shows up when things get heavy. Every rep in the gym, every late night working on your craft, every early morning when you'd rather sleep, all that is you casting votes for the stronger version of yourself. You're telling the universe, I'm serious about this. That's why I say, when you don't feel like it, that's the best time to move. Because anybody can work when they're motivated. But when you push through when you're tired, When you're broke, when nobody's watching, that's where the real transformation happens. That's when you start building muscle nobody can see but everybody can feel. You ever meet somebody who just walks different, like they've been through something, but it made them solid instead of bitter? That's what consistency does. It puts confidence in your step and conviction in your words. Let me tell you something real. Nobody ever regrets doing the hard thing. You regret quitting. You regret waiting. You regret the times you talked yourself out of something that could have changed your life. The pain of discipline lasts a few hours. The pain of regret lasts a lifetime. So stop playing tug of war with your purpose. Every excuse you make is another rope tied around your potential. Cut it, let it go. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start, because once you start, momentum takes over. And when momentum shows up, excuses disappear. It's like building muscle. The first few days, your body screams at you to stop. But once you push through, your body starts adapting. It starts responding. That's how your mindset works too. At first, your mind fights change because it's addicted to comfort. But when you push past that point, your mind starts rewiring itself for strength. Soon, the things that used to feel impossible start feeling normal. That's how growth works. It don't show up with a smile. It shows up with resistance. So when 2026 comes and that weak version of you starts talking, I need you to do one thing: move anyway. When it says, I'm tired, move anyway. When it says, I'll start tomorrow, move anyway. When it says, it's too late, move anyway. Because every time you move anyway, you're breaking the contract you signed with mediocrity. You owe it to yourself to see what happens when you stop letting excuses run your life. You owe it to your family, your future, your purpose to find out what the highest version of you looks like. This next year ain't about more goals, it's about more discipline. It's not about saying more, it's about doing more. The weak version of you had its run. Now it's time for the real one to step up. And once you stop negotiating with your excuses, you'll realize that success was never complicated. It was just waiting for you to stop talking yourself out of it. Because that's the secret. You don't have to be ready. You just have to stop running. Start now, move anyway, and let the world feel the power of the version of you that finally decided to stop making excuses and start making history. The most dangerous drug out here ain't alcohol, ain't money, ain't fame, it's comfort. Comfort is quiet poison. It feels soft when it hits your system. It tells you you're doing fine. It gives you the illusion of peace, of safety, of having made it. But while it's whispering in your ear, it's slowly killing your hunger. It's numbing your drive. It's putting your purpose to sleep. You ever look around and notice how many people still talking about the same dreams from 20 and 19, same ideas, same conversations, same one day I'm gonna. That's what comfort does. It convinces you that just because you're surviving, you're succeeding. It tricks you into believing motion is progress, when in reality, you're running laps inside the same cage. You ain't moved forward. You just got used to the walls. Ain't nothing worse than being stuck in a season you were supposed to grow out of. You might not be broke anymore, but you also ain't building. You might not be struggling, but you ain't stretching either. You got stability, but no spark. That's where the weak version of you hides, right there in, I'm doing okay. That's a dangerous sentence, because okay is comfort disguised as contentment. It's a trap that makes you think you've arrived when really you've just stopped climbing. Okay is the language of average. I'm evolving. That's the language of purpose. See, the game don't stop just because you reach the checkpoint. Every level in life requires a new version of you. You can't keep bringing the same mindset, the same habits, the same fears into every season and expect different blessings. Growth don't come with comfort. Blessings feel heavy when you ain't ready to carry them. That's why God don't elevate people who still addicted to the old version of themselves. You can't step into your future while holding hands with your comfort zone. I've seen it 1,000 times. People hit a small win and start slowing down. They get a decent check, a little recognition, and suddenly they stop doing the things that got them there. That's what comfort does. It tells you, relax, you deserve it. And look, yeah, rest is important. But there's a difference between rest and retreat. Rest restores you, retreat removes you. You can't be disappearing every time things start feeling heavy. That pressure you're running from is the same pressure that creates diamonds. When I was building the marathon, there were days when everything in me said, slow down. Money wasn't coming in like it should. People around me was switching up. I had every reason to take it easy, but I knew if I got comfortable, I'd lose everything I worked for. So I stayed down. I kept creating, kept strategizing, kept learning, and it was that consistency through discomfort that separated me from the pack. Most people stop when it gets uncomfortable. Real ones build while it burns. You gotta ask yourself, am I living or am I just existing? Because existing means you found a place where nothing challenges you. You clock in, clock out, hang around the same people, talk about the same dreams, go home and tell yourself you're doing all right. But deep down, you know that voice inside ain't satisfied. That's your soul trying to remind you that you were built for more. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failure teaches you. Comfort numbs you. Failure shows you where you need to grow. Comfort convinces you that growth ain't necessary. You might think staying comfortable protects you, but really, it's robbing you. It's stealing your creativity, your curiosity, your courage. It's keeping you stuck in chapters that no longer fit your story. And I get it, stepping out of that comfort zone feels scary. It's supposed to. Growth don't happen in spaces where you already know the outcome. You gotta walk into rooms that make your stomach turn. You gotta speak on stages that make your voice shake. You gotta surround yourself with people who intimidate you a little bit. People who force you to think bigger, move smarter, dream louder. Because the moment you start feeling too safe, that's the moment you stop evolving. You ever wonder why opportunities start drying up after a while? It's not that God forgot you. It's that you stop growing into the version of yourself who could handle what you prayed for. God won't give you new blessings if you're still clinging to old comfort. You say you want more, but you keep moving like the same person who settled for less. You say you want change, but you keep protecting the habits that keep you stagnant. There's a saying, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And that's real. Every time you run away from discomfort, you rob yourself of transformation. Think about the caterpillar. If it never struggles in that cocoon, it never builds the strength to fly. That's the process. Discomfort is the gym for your destiny. You can't skip the reps. You can't stay soft and expect to soar. In 2026, I need you to stretch yourself. Don't let comfort talk you out of your evolution. Step in rooms that make you feel small, because that's where you'll grow tall. Chase opportunities that scare you, because fear is the proof that you're heading in the right direction. You ain't supposed to know how to do it all. You're supposed to learn while you move. Growth is messy, it's awkward, it's uncertain, but it's real. Comfort will have you looking successful on the outside, but empty on the inside. You'll have the car, the house, the clothes, but you'll still wake up feeling stuck, wondering why you're not fulfilled. It's because your spirit don't care about comfort. It craves expansion. It craves purpose. It craves the stretch. So if everything in your life feels predictable right now, if your days look the same, if nothing excites you, if you're not being challenged, that's not peace, that's stagnation. That's the alarm clock going off telling you it's time to grow again. Growth don't feel like winning at first. It feels like losing control. It feels like being uncomfortable in rooms where you used to feel confident. It feels like being misunderstood, like starting over, like walking into darkness with nothing but faith. But that's the process. And if you trust that process, you'll wake up one day realizing that everything uncomfortable you endured became the foundation of everything powerful you built. So don't let comfort trap you in the same season. Don't let good enough stop you from reaching greatness. You got too much potential, too much purpose, too much vision to keep recycling the same year over and over again. The goal isn't to feel safe. The goal is to grow strong. And the only way you do that is by stepping into what scares you and refusing to let comfort convince you that survival is success. Because once you outgrow your comfort zone, you start tasting your calling. And once you taste that, you'll never settle for okay again. Let's be real, a lot of that weak energy people carry ain't laziness, it's unhealed pain. You can't build an empire on top of trauma. You can't build focus on a foundation that's still cracked from childhood wounds, heartbreaks, betrayals, or disappointments you never dealt with. Most people ain't stuck because they don't have talent. They stuck because they never learned how to heal what hurt them. They keep trying to hustle over pain instead of working through it. But you can't outwork what's still bleeding inside you. Eventually, it leaks into everything, your relationships, your business, your choices, your self-worth. You ever notice how some people finally get opportunities, but somehow still sabotage them? They get love, but they can't trust it. They get money, but they spend it like they're trying to fill a void. They get success, but they still feel empty. That's not because they're ungrateful. It's because they never killed a part of themselves that still feels broken. The world told them to move on, but never showed them how to heal. So they just keep moving, hoping speed will erase pain. But time don't heal wounds if you never face them. It just teaches you how to hide them better. I've seen it in people close to me. I've seen it in myself. There were moments when everything was clicking on the outside, money coming in, music moving, name growing. But inside, I still felt disconnected, still felt a little hollow. Because even when I was building the marathon, I had to realize something real. You can't lead no marathon if you're still limping from your last race. You can't guide people into purpose while you're still bleeding from the past. Healing ain't optional if you want peace. You either face your pain now or you keep reliving it later in different forms. Healing ain't soft, it's strategic, it's power work, it's discipline. It's saying, I'm not gonna let what happened to me keep controlling how I move. It's putting your ego aside long enough to sit with your emotions no matter how uncomfortable it gets. It's therapy, it's journaling, it's prayer. It's taking long walks alone and talking to God until your spirit feels lighter. It's cutting off the people who keep you in the same pain cycle. Healing ain't pretty, but it's necessary. Because when you heal, you clear your vision, and when you see clearly, you move differently. See, when you're still carrying pain, you react to everything. Every comment feels personal. Every delay feels like rejection. Every challenge feels like proof that you're not enough. That's because pain distorts perception. It turns life into a mirror that only reflects your wounds. But once you start healing, your peace becomes your protection. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing chaos. You stop moving for attention and start moving with intention. That's what real freedom looks like. When you no longer let your past dictate your pace. And I know that's easier said than done because healing ain't linear. Some days you feel strong. Other days you feel like you're back at square one. But that's part of the process. Healing is a marathon too. You don't rush it. You stay consistent with it. You keep showing up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. You keep forgiving yourself for who you were when you were just trying to survive. You keep reminding yourself that peace ain't found, it's built. There's this misconception that healing makes you soft. Nah, healing makes you sharp, it makes you precise. When you're operating from peace instead of pain, your decisions hit different. You stop moving out of anger or insecurity. You stop reacting and you start responding. You become unshakable because you're no longer fighting invisible battles inside. That's how you build longevity, by mastering your inner world before you try to master the outer one. When you don't heal, everything feels like a fight. You can have money, but still feel broke. You can have love, but still feel lonely. You can have status, but still feel small. Because what you never resolve within yourself will always find a way to show up outside of yourself. That's why 2026 gotta be the year you stop carrying pain like it's part of your personality. You're not your trauma. You're not your mistakes. You're not your losses. You are what you choose to do with all of it. You can either let it break you or let it build you. And let me tell you, peace hits different when you earn it. When you've been through hell but still smile with gratitude. When you've had people doubt you, hurt you, betray you, and you still show love, still move with grace, still stay focused. That's real strength, that's power, that's divine resilience. That's when you know you've healed. When the things that used to trigger you don't even move you no more. A healed mind makes better moves. When you stop hustling from fear, you start building from faith. You stop trying to prove people wrong and you start trying to prove yourself right. You stop chasing things that look good and start creating things that feel right. Your grind becomes peaceful. Your ambition becomes aligned. That's when the universe starts responding differently to you, because peace attracts what pain used to repel. But it all starts with honesty. You can't heal from what you keep hiding. You gotta be real about what hurt you. Be real about who you still angry at. Be real about the things you still blaming yourself for. Healing starts with awareness. It's saying, yeah, that broke me, but I'm not staying broken. It's saying, yeah, they hurt me, but I forgive them, not for them, but for me. Forgiveness ain't weakness. It's how you set your soul free. The hardest part is letting go of the version of you that pain created, because that version helped you survive. The tough one, the guarded one, the one who didn't trust nobody. But survival energy won't build your empire. You gotta trade survival for stability, pain for peace, resentment for release. You can't keep dragging your old wounds into your new season. That's like planting seeds in soil that's never been cleared. The roots can't grow right, so in 2026, make healing your hustle. Make peace your priority. Make your inner world as rich as the outer one you're chasing. Because what good is money if your mind's still in misery? What good is success if your soul's still restless? You can't pour light into the world if you're still running from your own darkness. You don't have to be perfect to heal. You just have to be willing. You gotta want peace more than you want pity. You gotta want growth more than you want attention. You gotta want progress more than you want pain. Healing is a decision, not a moment. It's saying, I deserve to live without replaying my hurt. It's saying, I deserve to win without feeling guilty for it. It's saying, I deserve to be happy, even if the people who broke me never said sorry. So yeah, kill that version of you that keeps carrying pain as identity. Stop letting your scars speak louder than your spirit. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to do with it. You are the comeback, not the collapse. You are the lesson, not the loss. You are the healed version of everything that tried to destroy you. And when you finally heal, that's when the hustle gets peaceful. That's when you move with grace, clarity, and power. That's when you stop chasing validation and start walking in purpose. And from that place, from that deep, healed, grounded place, everything you build stands stronger, because now you ain't hustling to escape pain, you're hustling to expand peace. And that's a whole different level of power. The weak version of you loves company, especially lazy, negative company. That version of you craves comfort, validation, and people who let you off the hook. It's the part of you that wants to be surrounded by folks who make excuses sound normal, who talk more than they move, who celebrate potential but never chase progress. That's the circle that keeps you small, the one that claps for mediocrity, not mastery. But when you start evolving, when you start moving different, that same energy don't fit no more. Strong, you don't crave comfort. Strong, you craves growth. You ever notice how when you start leveling up, the group chat gets quiet, the invites stop coming, the conversations shift from what's next to you've changed. That silence don't mean you did something wrong. It means your growth exposed their comfort. It means your progress made them look at their own stagnation. And that's okay. You ain't supposed to fit everywhere you used to chill. Sometimes God isolates you because he's about to elevate you. Sometimes he cuts off the noise so you can finally hear your purpose. See, the people around you either feeding your fire or feeding your weakness. There's no in between. Energy is contagious. Spend enough time around quitters and you'll start making quitting sound logical. Spend enough time around dreamers and you'll start thinking bigger without even realizing it. That's why in 2026, you gotta protect your circle like your future depends on it. Because it does. You can't win a championship with players who don't care about the game. You can't build an empire surrounded by people who only want to chill in the ruins. I had to learn that the hard way. When I was building the marathon, I used to think loyalty meant keeping everybody around just because they'd been there since day one. But day one loyalty don't always mean day one discipline. Some people love you but still don't align with your vision. Some people want to see you win, just not more than them. And if you're not careful, you'll start carrying people who were never meant to walk with you past a certain chapter. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is let people stay where they're comfortable while you keep climbing. Because if you keep dragging dead weight, you'll never reach destiny. You gotta surround yourself with builders. Not bystanders. Builders think long-term. Builders talk solutions. Builders see potential and turn it into plans. They don't compete with you. They complete the mission with you. They don't drain your energy. They multiply it. When you're around real builders, every conversation plants a seed. You leave inspired, not exhausted. You leave challenged, not comfortable. Ask yourself, who's around you when you talk about your goals? Are they clapping or are they questioning? Are they pouring into your vision or poking holes in it? Are they reminding you of your purpose or your problems? Because energy don't lie, you just keep ignoring it. Every time you leave someone's presence feeling smaller, more doubtful, more distracted, that's your spirit warning you this ain't your circle no more. Strong people surround themselves with accountability, people who will call them out when they're slipping, people who don't just tell them what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. See, a real friend gone correct you in private and cheer for you in public. A bystander gone laugh at you in private and clap in your face. There's a difference. That's why it's so important to build your circle with intention. Don't choose friends based on familiarity. Choose them based on alignment. You don't need people who make you feel safe in your excuses. You need people who make you uncomfortable in your stagnation. I remember hearing this saying, or iron sharpens iron, not pillows. That hit me deep. You can't become unbreakable hanging with people who never get tested. Pressure creates diamonds, but only if you're surrounded by others who can handle the heat. Builders respect the grind. They respect the process. They don't envy you when you win. They study you so they can win too. That's the kind of energy that makes a whole team great. Look around your circle and ask yourself, who's building? Who's really putting in work when nobody's watching? Who's consistent when it's not convenient? Who's growing mentally, spiritually, financially? Who's pushing you to think bigger, move smarter, be better? If the answer is nobody, then you're in the wrong room. You got to get around people whose conversations sound like strategy meetings, not gossip sessions. People who push you to keep learning, keep stacking, keep improving. If you're the smartest one in your circle, it's time to upgrade your circle. It's crazy how the wrong environment can trick you into believing you're doing enough when everyone around you is stagnant. Just showing up looks like progress. But when you get around real movers, you realize you got work to do, and that's a good thing, because that discomfort, that's growth, that's elevation. That's your higher self calling you forward. And don't get it twisted. Building a solid circle don't mean cutting everybody off with bitterness. It means creating boundaries with wisdom. It means understanding who belongs in your life's front row and who's better off watching from the balcony. Some people ain't enemies. They just not equipped to handle where you're headed. You can love people and still love yourself enough to step away. See, people don't realize your circle shapes your ceiling. You can only go as far as the people you surround yourself with. If everyone around you is comfortable being average, you'll eventually settle too. But if you stay around visionaries, people who think generationally, people who talk ownership, healing, strategy, and legacy, that energy rubs off. That's when you start thinking expansion, not escape. That's when you start playing offense with your life instead of always reacting to what's thrown at you. You need a circle that mirrors your ambition, a circle that checks on your spirit, not just your status, a circle that understands that success ain't just about money, it's about mindset. You need people who remind you that discipline is still cool, that character still matters, that purpose still pays. Because this world will try to sell you shortcuts, but builders don't believe in shortcuts. Builders know that strong foundations take time, and let me tell you this, when you find your tribe, your energy changes. When you're surrounded by people who believe like you believe, who grind like you grind, who dream like you dream, your confidence grows. You start seeing your potential through their eyes. You start moving with certainty. That's what alignment does. That's why you can't afford to keep weak connections in a season of strong moves. 2026 gone test who's really for you. Because when you start operating on higher frequencies, people who still vibrating low can't tune in no more. Let them fall back with love. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Keep building anyway, because the real ones, the builders, they gonna meet you at the top. They gonna understand the silence. They gonna respect the discipline. They gonna speak the same language, vision, strategy, legacy. So protect your energy, protect your environment, protect your peace. Because if your circle ain't pushing you toward purpose, it's pulling you away from it. The strong version of you don't need approval, it needs alignment. Surround yourself with people who challenge your comfort, who force your excellence, who sharpen your vision. Because one thing's for sure, you can't build a kingdom surrounded by bystanders. You need builders, you need believers, you need people who see the crown on your head even when you're still carrying the bricks. And once you find that tribe, you'll never have to question your direction again. 'Cause every step will be forward. Now let's bring it full circle. Killing the weak version of you ain't some one-time execution. It's a lifetime decision. It's a commitment to evolution. It's waking up every day, looking in the mirror, and asking yourself with honesty, what am I still doing that's keeping me small? Because no matter how far you go, there's always another layer to shed. The weak version of you don't die easy. It tries to come back in quiet moments when you're tired, when things ain't moving fast enough, when doubt starts whispering again. That's when you gotta remember, this journey ain't for the impatient, it's for the consistent. See, we living in a world that worships speed but forgets about endurance. Everybody wanna go viral, not go the distance. They wanna be seen before they're seasoned. But that's not how real success works. The real reward, the real freedom, don't come from quick wins. It comes from consistency. It comes from showing up every single day, whether the applause is loud or the room is silent. That's why I said it before and I'll say it again. This life is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't win it off bursts of motivation. You win it through endurance, through patience, through discipline that don't waver when emotions do. You're gonna face setbacks. You're gonna have people you trusted switch up on you. You're gonna have moments where your faith gets tested so hard you start questioning if it's even worth it. You're gonna have seasons that feel still, where everything slows down and the progress you made don't seem to add up to nothing. But that's normal. That's part of the process. The weak version of you gives up when the progress ain't visible. The weak version only shows up when things are easy, when the money flowing, when people watching. But the strong version of you stays down till it comes up. It keeps working when nobody clapping. It keeps building when nobody noticing. Because the strong version ain't chasing validation. It's chasing purpose. That's the real marathon mindset. It's understanding that success don't come in one big moment. It comes in thousands of small, quiet decisions. Every yes to discipline. Every no to distraction. Every night you chose focus over comfort. Every morning you pushed through when you didn't feel like it. That's what separates the ones who talk about it from the ones who really live it. That's what turns dreamers into legends. You ever notice how people love calling something an overnight success? They say, oh, he blew up out of nowhere. But you know the truth, it wasn't overnight. It was every night. It was the nights nobody posted about, the sacrifices nobody saw, the hours when the weak version of you was screaming to quit but you didn't. That's what builds unshakable confidence, not just results, but the journey it took to earn them. When I was building the marathon, I understood that what I was doing wasn't about short-term wins. It was about legacy. I knew I had to think long-term, 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. I knew setbacks would come, I knew betrayal would happen, but I also knew none of that could break me if I stayed solid in my purpose. You can't fake that kind of strength. You build it through repetition, through pain, through patience. You build it by showing up when you don't feel inspired, by working through the slow seasons, by believing when logic says quit. And look, 2026 ain't about just chasing goals. It's about committing to the process. It's about understanding that transformation ain't glamorous. It's messy. It's lonely. It's gritty. It's the part of the journey that social media don't show you. Nobody posts about the confusion, the doubt, the late nights when you're praying for a sign to keep going. But that's the part that separates the strong from the weak. Because if you can stay solid when everything around you's shaking, if you can trust the process when the result's still hidden, that's how you become unstoppable. The marathon mindset is deeper than work ethic. It's spiritual. It's about understanding divine timing, knowing that God don't operate on your schedule, but he always on time. It's about trusting that every delay has purpose, every challenge has a lesson, every loss is setting up the win. Most people quit right before the blessing. They get tired, they get distracted, and they start negotiating with their old habits again. But the real ones, the ones who commit to the marathon, they keep running even when it hurts. They keep faith even when the finish line feels far, because they understand the goal ain't speed, it's endurance. And let me tell you something, consistency is the cheat code. You ain't got to be perfect. You just got to keep showing up. That's how you build momentum. That's how you build character. That's how you earn respect. Not by being loud about your goals, but by being relentless about your grind. Every day you show up, even when you don't see results, you're building a foundation that can't be shaken. I remember watching how marathon runners train. They don't start at full speed. They start slow, they build stamina, they pace themselves. They understand it's not about how fast you go, it's about how long you can keep going. That's life, bro. That's the grind. You don't win because you sprint. You win because you endure. Because no matter how tough it gets, you don't stop. You adjust your stride, catch your breath, and keep running. And when you finally cross that finish line, when the world starts noticing what you've been building in silence, they'll call it luck or timing or talent. But you'll know the truth. It was commitment. It was discipline. It was choosing growth over comfort. It was killing that weak version of yourself every single day, one decision at a time. So don't get caught up in the hype of quick success. Play the long game. Build something that lasts beyond the moment. Because the ones who sprint, they burn out. The ones who run the marathon, they build legacies. They inspire generations. They leave blueprints for the next one coming up. And I'm telling you, once you lock in with that mindset, once you decide that quitting ain't an option, the world can't stop you. The doubts can't stop you. The delays can't stop you, because your strength don't come from results. It comes from resilience. That's when you realize the marathon ain't about the race. It's about who you become while running it. So as you step into 2026, make this your promise. No more rushing, no more shortcuts, no more stopping when it hurts. Commit to the long game. Commit to your vision even when it feels far. Commit to the process even when it's quiet. Because once you kill that weak version of yourself, once you truly embrace that marathon mindset, nothing and no one can kill your purpose. Keep running your race. Keep building. Keep believing. Because the victory ain't just at the finish line, it's in every step you take to get there. So as you step into 2026, don't just write goals, write an obituary for the version of you that kept settling. Bury the excuses, the fear, the doubt, the comfort, and when you rise, rise with intention, rise with clarity, rise with fire in your chest and vision in your eyes. Because the new you ain't waiting for opportunities, the new you creates them. The new you don't beg for blessings, the new you becomes one. Kill that weak version of yourself in 2026 first. Then watch how every door that used to be locked you starts opening like it was waiting on the real you to show up.